Hello everybody! Today's baking demonstration is going to be vanilla cupcakes. I've set up all the ingredients for you guys to see. We've been reading about all those basic baking ingredients and you can see most of them here. We've got sugar, then we have flour, then you have your flavorings like salt and vanilla. Next is your leavening agent, which is baking powder for this recipe. Then I've got my fats and oils, which is butter. I've got eggs. And then the last thing I'm going to use is I'm going to be using Greek yogurt, and that kind of is substituting as my liquid for this recipe. And that has acids in it that react with the baking powder to create that chemical reaction to help your cupcakes rise. So I'm going to put these ingredients together and show you guys how to make some delicious cupcakes. I've measured everything out ahead of time, so I can just go ahead and start. So I'm going to first add the flour, salt, and baking powder into a large bowl, and I'm just going to whisk that together. By whisking it, what I'm doing is just evenly distributing the ingredients. I wouldn't want to just leave it like this because all my baking powder and salt is right here, and I want to whisk this just so that everything is evenly mixed together. That way each cupcake has an even amount of the ingredients. So I'm just whisking that to distribute those items. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do in my other bowl is I'm going to add my butter and sugar, and I'm going to cream those together until they are light and fluffy. I did not have stick butter, so I am using a softer spreadable butter, but that works just as well. So there is my butter, and then I'm going to add my sugar. And then I'm going to use my electric mixer to mix these together until they are all combined. So I want to make sure and cream these until it's light and fluffy, and that all the eggs, or not eggs, sorry, all the butter and sugar are mixed together. I like to say it looks uniform. When it's ready, you can't tell what's butter and what's sugar. It's all uniform. It looks like one thing. You can see they're starting to combine now. Okay, now that this is nice and fluffy, I'm going to add my vanilla, and I'm going to add my eggs. I've already pre-cracked my eggs, so I'm just going to add them in there. And then I'm going to add my 2 teaspoons of vanilla. This just gives it a good flavor. This was the only thing I didn't pre-measure because I didn't want to spill it. 1 and 2. This is going to give it a nice vanilla flavor for our vanilla cupcakes. Okay, everything is combined there. If you notice, I've got some stuff along the sides of the bowl here. So I'm just going to use my rubber scraper and just kind of get those down into it so we can mix those. I just want to mix that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to slowly add my dry ingredients into my wet ingredients. Almost forgot. I'm going to add in my yogurt. This helps keep it nice and moist and fluffy. You can also use sour cream instead of yogurt. That also gives it a really good flavor. I like to use yogurt because it's a little bit healthier than sour cream. All right, now I'm going to add my dry ingredients a little at a time. And the last little bit. And the last thing I'm going to do to make sure that this is fully mixed is I'm just going to use my rubber scraper to scrape the sides. Because there's still some flour stuck on the sides here. So I want to use my rubber scraper. I'm just kind of folding it over so that that combines. I'm also scraping along the bottom to make sure there's no pockets of flour kind of hiding down there. And you don't want to over mix it because otherwise you're going to kind of smush those air bubbles that create that nice fluffy cupcake. I'm going to get my muffin tray filled and then I'm going to get them in the oven. All right, I've got my tray filled. As you can see, it's not all the way full. You should only want to fill your cupcake liners about 3/4 of the way. Otherwise, they will poof up too much and you won't have enough to get all 12 cupcakes. I'm going to get these in the oven and then I'll show you the finished product. All right, so while my cupcakes are in the oven, I'm going to be making homemade frosting. Frosting is by far like the most unhealthy thing or the most unhealthy part of a cupcake, but once in a while as a treat, totally fine. So what you are going to do, you're going to use a cup of butter. If you have some frostings call for shortening as well instead of butter, which you can use either. But I like to use butter because I think it gives it a richer flavor. So 1 cup of butter. Then you need 3½ cups of powdered sugar. Powdered sugar is also known as confectioner's sugar. And it looks a little bit more like flour, but it is powdered sugar. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to save my ½ cup first. I'm going to do the first 3 and see the consistency, and then I might add more. I'm going to make mine chocolate, so I'm going to use a ½ cup of cocoa powder, and then I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt for a little flavoring. And I also added first 2 teaspoons of vanilla, which you probably saw in the bottom of the bowl. Now I'm going to mix these together. And then the last thing I will add, just to kind of bring it all together, is a couple tablespoons of water. You could also use milk or heavy cream. I'm just going to use water today because that's what I have available. And it's just to kind of combine the ingredients together. I gotta get my mixer set up. Now I can start mixing. It's gonna look pretty dry at first, but as it combines, you're gonna start to see the frosting. Now that it's starting to combine, I'm going to add my 3 tablespoons of water to bring it all together. And I am going to add my last half a cup of powdered sugar. Now, as you can see, I have this delicious chocolate frosting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it in the fridge until my cupcakes are cool, and then I can start frosting them. Yummy! All right, my cupcakes are out of the oven. One way to test if they are done or not, you can take a toothpick and you can just stick your toothpick right down in the center, straight in, straight out. If the toothpick comes out clean, there's no batter on it, then you know that they're done in the middle. Another way you can do this is you can either use a butter knife or your finger. Just be careful if you're using your finger. And you just kind of push down a little bit on the top. If it bounces back up at you, then it's done. If it stays a little sunken in, then it probably needs another minute or so in the oven. But these bounce right back up. You don't have to check them all, just one. And then you know they're done. And then once they are cool, we can get some frosting on them. All right, now that my cupcakes are cool, I'm going to frost them. I'm going to use a piping bag just because I wanted to make them look more like Cupcake Wars, like the show. You do not have to use one of these. You can just use a butter knife and kind of spread some frosting on the top. I only use this because I had it here at work. I don't have this kind of stuff at home. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get these frosted. So go around, make them look kind of fancy like the show. I am not a professional decorator, so mine are not going to look quite as amazing. But there you go. All right, I'm going to get these all decorated. And then the best part, we get to eat one. All right, there they are, my beautiful vanilla cupcakes with homemade chocolate frosting. I wish I could share these with you guys. What we're going to talk about next is decorating and just get a little creative with some of our decorations. I will have the assignment for you guys in Schoology, so you can look for that. And then I will also post the recipe for both the cupcakes and the frosting. And hopefully you guys can one day try this at home.